The relationship with my mom has always been kinda rocky. My dad and her divorced when I was born, or thereabouts, and she's always made it clear that she thinks it was my fault. Last year, I got married and wanted the fairy tale wedding, big dress, fancy venue. My husband and I worked our butts off so that we could afford it without borrowing any money, and I planned and designed everything, even my dress. The thing is a monstrosity that I can barely walk in, but it's mine. All through the wedding planning, my mother was obstructive and doing lots of second-hand bragging, culminating in making her own invitations, and 8 or so people turning up that I didn't invite and didn't know were coming. I guess she thought I wouldn't notice. Except I opted for a small wedding of about 35 people. Anyway, fast forward to last weekend, and she lets me know that her brother that I met once, at my wedding, is getting married next week, and she told him I would pay towards it. I explained to her that no, I can't. I'm moving across country, so I've left my job, and also, he's a stranger. My mom went off on a rant about how he was there for my wedding and would do anything for me. Today I was added to a group chat for this wedding, that I'm not invited to, but whatever. Full of that side of the family asking for the measurements of my wedding dress, and when I'd be sending it over. They feel it's the least I could do since I backed out on payment. I've been stewing on it all day, but on the one hand, I'm not about to use it anytime soon. I also feel bad for them because I get the idea my mom's been telling them I'd do it for a while. So, am I the a-hole? Edited to add. It might seem obvious that I shouldn't feel bad, but I'm from a culture of sacrifice for family, particularly elders. Also, I'm being told that now they can't afford cake or refreshments because I didn't go through with paying for it. Edit 2. I took the route of least resistance. I agreed that she could use my tiara and veil as something borrowed, ignored the request for my dress and left the group chat. I messaged both my grandmother and my mother privately to say I was unable to loan them my dress and to pass on my congratulations to the couple. I muted notification on my mom's chat because I know it's going to be bad. My grandma has left me on scene. Not the a-hole. You don't know them anything, and you have no obligation to give money or to donate your dress. The only one with an obligation is your mother. To be honest, I would leave the group chat with a kind note stating that you had no prior knowledge of your supposed debt, and to contact your mother for fulfillment of payment. Not the a-hole. What the duck? Pay towards it. Why in the hell would your mom offer you paying for anything for anyone, even if they were someone close to you? I would not give them a thing. This is entitlement at its worst. Holy cow, not the a-hole. Your mom is being a giant manipulative shrew of an a-hole. Not only did she invite literal strangers to your wedding, now she is telling them you will give them money without even asking you first. They might be blood related to you, but you don't owe them. So yes, they are indeed strangers. They might even be the nicest people in the world, but you don't know them, and you don't owe them anything. It's your wedding dress, so you can decide if you want to share that with someone else. But be prepared for it to come back in any condition. It might come back perfect, but it may also come back completely trashed. Ha. My dad fathered twin girls outside of my mom and his marriage, which had a super hard effect on my mom, as she always wanted to have another child, but kept undergoing miscarriages after she had me. Ever since their birth to up until 2 years ago, I, 17 female, wasn't allowed any contact with my 2 younger sisters, and the only help my father ever gave to them was financial help. 2 years ago, my siblings' mother contacted my father and begged him to take them, as she was no longer in a position to care for them due to becoming terminally ill. My father convinced my mom to allow him to take them in, which my mom allowed because she felt sympathetic towards them. They were 12 at the time, but have now reached the age of 14. Ever since they came to live with us, family members from both my mom's and dad's side keep making comments about how they look like an off-brand version of my name, or that I'm lucky that I'm blessed with my mom's genes. They are so disrespectful that they say this stuff in front of my sisters, which not only makes them feel bad, but makes me extremely uncomfortable. Yesterday night, we had a family get-together for a baby shower. During it, some of my family members, including my mom, were saying comments similar to the ones I mentioned before, in earshot of my sisters, which obviously made them uncomfortable. I bring it up to my dad, and all he did was shrugged his shoulders and continued with the conversation he was having. So, I took it upon myself to do something, and told my relatives, comparing me and my sister's looks, that it made my sisters and I uncomfortable, and I'd rather them not talk about it again, especially at events where we're supposed to be celebrating. I'm not a confrontational person, so I was a little awkward at asking them to stop. My relatives, especially my mom, did not take it well, and accused me of choosing my sisters over my mom and speaking to her disrespectfully. They started to raise their voice, which resulted in my grandma, dad's side, in defending me and calling them all immature for insulting children. At the end of the day, everyone left early and the baby shower was ruined, which ended up being blamed on me. My mom is really mad at me and have left to stay at her sister's place because how upset she is. My dad apologized to my sisters and I for not addressing this issue earlier due to his own guilt and discomfort. I feel horrible about the whole situation and feel like I could have waited for a better time to ask them to stop. Was I in the wrong here? Not the a-hole. Your mom is a huge B to your sisters, and she's doing it to hurt them on purpose. She still feels angry and hurt by what your father did, but instead of taking her anger on him, she's taking it on two innocent children. She's also probably wanting to drive a wedge between you and your sisters. She hoped all those compliments would make them resent you, and you feel superior to them. She's being a manipulative a-hole. Please continue defending your sisters from her aggression. They don't deserve this. They deserve love. Not the a-hole. You did better than both your parents. You stepped up and defended your sisters because they wouldn't. Your mom has every right to be upset that your father conceived your sisters with another woman. I can only imagine how she feels having them in your home. However, they are not the ones who cheated on your mother, and they do not deserve to be treated poorly because of your father's actions. Your mom absolutely should not be making such biased and hurtful comparisons between you and your sisters. If she cannot treat your sisters with respect, she may need to separate from your dad so that she won't have to live in the same house with your sisters. Your father seems to have allowed his guilt to get in the way of advocating for your sisters to be treated fairly. It's good that he apologized for not defending your sisters, but he shouldn't have needed your defense of them to prompt him to do the right thing. Not the a-hole. Mom and other relatives are the a-hole for being so shallow and cruel. Grandma nailed it. I'm glad your dad finally stepped up, because he was being the a-hole too. Hopefully he'll do more to protect all his kids in the future. I, 39 female, have a 24-year-old son named Ian. I know I had him young, don't comment on this. Ian has a fiancée named Tara, 24 female. Me and Tara do not get along at all. I hate her personality, and the way she is overall. Tara is the type to think her opinion just needs to be said, even if the situation is bad. She is the type to think everyone is about her, and she is very demanding. She's very irresponsible with their money, which Ian turns a complete blind eye to. Not many people in the family like her. I have 5 other children other than Ian. Ian, Vivian, 15 female, Lucas, 11 male, and my 6-year-old triplets. Ian and Tara decided to make their wedding child-free, which is their decision, and I'm not complaining about that. But it also excludes Vivian, who turned 16 before their wedding. I found that to be rather absurd, because normally, child-free weddings exclude young kids, not 16-year-olds. I can get Lucas because he hates events like this, and I know he won't sit still. But Vivian is a very well-behaved child. She loves weddings, and Ian knows this. I asked Ian about this because I know asking Tara would only bring issues. Ian said it wasn't his decision, but Tara's decision. So I ended up speaking to Tara, and she specifically said she doesn't know Vivian all that well, and that she doesn't want strangers at her wedding. I can totally get it if it's a friend's partner you haven't met yet, but this is your soon-to-be husband's little sister, not a stranger. They've met plenty of times before, but they aren't like close. I didn't argue, but did tell the both of them I wouldn't be attending anymore because this situation was unfair and cruel to Vivian, who thought she would be attending her brother's wedding. Not to mention, there are other teenagers Vivian's age who is attending the wedding. Tara called me cruel for not wanting to attend my own son's wedding. I told her she was cruel for not wanting to invite her fiancé's sister to their wedding. She said, her wedding, her choice. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Vivian is a rather quiet person. She has spoken to Tara before, but she is very much introverted, so there has never been full conversations between both of them. Vivian doesn't interact much around people she isn't comfortable with, which includes Tara. Also, other than my relationship with Tara, Vivian has a good relationship with Ian. So this came as a shock and a good relationship with Tara. There has never been an issue between them. Not the a-hole. And another reply, you mentioned that other teenagers were the bride's siblings, cousins, and other relatives. The fact that she's allowed her own siblings, but your own son isn't allowed that courtesy, raises a huge red flag. Nevertheless, it's not fair to him to not have his own siblings at his own wedding, and I would be livid. I wouldn't want to go if any of my own was excluded in this manner. If she is including other teenagers to the same age from her side, but not including her fiancé's sister, who is the same age, that's an a-hole move. However, your son is also playing an a-hole move here. It's his wedding too, and can't just absolve himself of blame by not putting his foot down on it. 2 villains, 1 wedding. Nice. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Tara doesn't want strangers there. She is literally Ian's sister, and it's his wedding too, not hers alone. Your son needs to grow a spine. Otherwise, she's gonna distance him from his family. My husband's older brother Tom is married to Valerie. Valerie has an 8-year-old daughter who Tom adopted last year. Valerie and Tom are expecting another baby together. Their daughter had suggestions for names for her baby brother or sister. Namely, names that were nature-themed. Wren, dove, lark, river, Halford, forest, cove, ocean. My name is actually among one she suggested. My own brother has a bird name along with me. Tom proceeded to tell his daughter that those were not real names and that I had always disliked or hated my name, and they didn't want their little baby to be the same. He said this in front of me and my husband. My husband thought he was crazy and told him I had never said that. Tom glared at my husband. Then his daughter asked me if I hated my name, and I said I didn't. Valerie said it didn't really matter what I thought, but they didn't want their kid to have a weird name, and she told their daughter they wanted baby to have a lovely name like she has. Their daughter said she liked my name better and didn't think her name was nice. My husband and Tom's parents were like, let's not insult other people's names, when Tom and Valerie started to protest, and reminded them that they were in the presence of someone with one of the so-called ridiculous names. Fast forward on a couple of hours, and Tom came over and told me I needed to tell his daughter that names like mine do not work on people, and that I want her to stop wanting a sibling called that, and start embracing her name and the name they will give her future sibling. He told me just because I wanted to live like a freak with a weird name didn't mean he wanted that for his kids. I told him he was a lying a-hole for putting words in my mouth and expecting me to do the same. I told him nobody said he needed to like my name, but to insult it. To insult me and then ask me to lie with him was unbelievable. I told him I didn't need to lie for him and wouldn't, and to get out of my ducking face. My husband and I left almost immediately after, apologizing for leaving abruptly to my in-laws and to our niece. Tom called my husband after and said his daughter could have heard, and I was an a-hole for saying what I did to him when she was in the house. My husband disagreed, but I do wonder if I went too far. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If he didn't want to be called a lying a-hole, he shouldn't have lied and acted like an a-hole. I also have a unique nature name, and I love it. Let me get this straight. He lies, insults your name to your face in front of his daughter. Then, when his daughter says she doesn't like her mom's name, he says she shouldn't insult people's names? Nah. Honey, you stand your ground. He's a moron. Not the a-hole. What the hell is Tom's issue? Tell Tom to take a Xanax. I've seen ducking 9-year-olds being called Naruto. Whatever name they pick will be fine. You did exactly the best way to solve this, OP. Good job. My mom married Jason 2 years ago. My sister and stepsister were both 13 female, and I was 14 male. Dad went MIA when my sister and I were babies. Mom's had a few relationships since then, but Jason is the first husband she's had. Jason's daughter is Riley. Riley's mom abandoned her when she was a baby too. Her mom died at some point, but she only found in November. She'd never met her mom, but it was hard on her. Ever since Riley found out her mom was dead, my mom has been trying to get her more friends in school. She has friends outside of school, but none actually in school. She wanted my sister to invite Riley into her friendship group, and my sister said no. Riley and my sister do not like each other. From the first time we met her, the two of them have had their issues. It bothers Mom that my sister won't let it drop. It started to get seriously tense between my mom and my sister. Mostly because my sister was hanging out with her friends one day, and Mom asked them if Riley could join in. This was outside of school. And my sister's friends said no, since Riley isn't their friend, and because my sister doesn't like her. Mom said my sister didn't mind. My sister said she did mind, and she would rather stay alone in her room than hang out with Riley. Mom told her she was turning into a real jerk, and Riley was her sister, and she should be trying to help her through her difficult time. My sister told Mom they didn't like each other and didn't care about each other, so why would either of them want to help the other? When my sister and I still hung out together after that incident, Mom pulled me up and said I should be blasting my sister and including Riley more. That I should be showing Riley that loyalty I show my sister. I laughed and asked her why she thought I had loyalty for Riley. Mom said of course I do, because we're family, and she's my younger sister now, and how could I not be loyal to her? That I have always been loyal to my sister. I told Mom because my sister and I are siblings, close siblings, as well as friends, and I love her. That I don't have to be loyal to Riley just because I'm loyal to my sister. I told her Riley might be like a daughter to her now, but she's not like a sister to me. She told me I was saying horrible things, and I should be better than this. I told her to ask Riley if she's an only child or has siblings. Mom said Riley would of course answer that she has siblings. Newsflash, she doesn't. But Mom and Jason kinda do. Like to ignore this and act like Riley was so desperate to be siblings with us. Mom told me I should be loyal to both sisters, but especially to the one who needs me most right now. Riley in her eyes. She told me I was not being a good big brother, and I should be ashamed of myself for dismissing Riley the way I do. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add. Riley and her friends have said my sister is fat. Not to my sister's face, but still in the house. I think that's what made her dislike or target my sister. She probably saw her as an easy target, and expected her to be all meek and quiet because of her body shape. She doesn't really come for me at all, but I have told her to leave my sister alone since hearing her and her friends say that about my sister. I know she hasn't stopped talking about my sister like that either. But I only heard it twice after the first time. But I know from how her friends act that they talk crap like that a lot. Not the a-hole. You should not be dragged into this matter, especially to reprimand your sister. You aren't the parent or guardian in this situation, so it is wrong of your mother to drag you into this. Plus, relationships can't be forced, and your mom trying to get her to hang out with your sister won't fix the issue. Not the a-hole. It sounds like Riley doesn't even want to be friends with your sister's friends. Mom needs therapy. Riley needs someone to help her with her stuff. Not the a-hole. Your mom isn't being a good parent by not listening to her children's feelings and trying to force a relationship on them. Your mom isn't being a good parent by trying to shame and badmouth her own children because they do not want to be friends with her stepdaughter, who also doesn't want to be friends with them. Ask your mom why trying to force your sister to be friends with her stepdaughter is worth your mom ruining her relationship with her own daughter because she doesn't respect your sister's right to choose her own friends.